Hi, this is Ron Edwards, Master Sommelier and Director of Wine Education for Winebo. I want to introduce you to an awesome new option in the U.S. from our friends at Yalumba. This is the Sanctum Cabernet Sauvignon from Coonawarra. So Yalumba is based in the Barossa Valley, which is a little north and east of Adelaide. And the Coonawarra vineyards are 4.5 hours drive south of Adelaide in the countryside. And this specific wonderful slice of Coonawarra is just 2 kilometers wide by 20 kilometers long, and it has this amazing Terra Rossa soil. That's what makes it special. Climatically, it's heavily influenced by the Southern Ocean because that area of the Australian continent is a wide, flat plain that leads right out to the ocean. So the cool air has nothing to break it. There's no hills, no mountains, nothing to break that influence. The Terra Rossa soil is unique because it's this iron-based clay on top of limestone hardpan. And so the limestone itself is unique because it's impermeable, which means water gets trapped there. But the iron-based clay gives a minerality and a coolness to the roots. And so you have this really interesting juxtaposition that is very unique. There are Terra Rossa soils in other places of the world, and they are also prized for winemaking. This is about Coonawarra. To label this wine with something as general as Australia would be a massive disservice to it. That would be like saying France is equal to Bordeaux, or North America is the same as Napa Valley. They just don't go together. So when you grow grapes in Coonawarra, you are working with a relatively cool climate, on the verge of too cool to grow Cabernet Sauvignon, but you get this long, even tempered growing seasons so that in the end, you have fully ripe grapes with full flavor development, but you don't get massive sugar spikes, which gives you elegant, seamless, satiny sort of Cabernet Sauvignon. It is very, very unique. And the other thing that's unique about Coonawarra is that there's an herbal character that comes from Cabernet Sauvignon planted here that is really just this beautiful pop. Some people think it's more like eucalyptus. Some people think it's more like mint, but it's definitely a signature of the area. So the Sanctum is so called because there is an inner workings of Coonawarra where the region goes beyond that specific Terra Rossa soil somewhat, but the Sanctum is right there in that heart of the region. And by working with that soil, you end up in the inner sanctum of Coonawarra winemakers. So that's probably enough about this. This is the 2017 vintage, the first vintage to be offered. Let's find out what it's about. The first thing is exactly what I'd hoped for. Mint, roasted red peppers, a little hint of eucalyptus. It's really not overpowering. It's an undertone. And then that is followed immediately by crushed blackberries and blueberries and black currant while I'm picking it. So I can still smell the leaf. There's a whiff, sort of a thread of oak aging here, which comes across in a little bit of caramel, a little bit of vanilla, definitely sort of a clove note going on here. This wine sees oak, but most of it's larger oak, hogsheads, and then there's a little bit of French barrique, but most of the oak being used here is used. There's also some black plum going on here. And once you get past the fruit and once you've enjoyed those herbs and mint long enough, the next thing that comes to me is a mix of like bittersweet chocolate and dusty farm soil. First thing I want to point out about this wine is how balanced it is. There's tartness, richness, there's grip, there's fruit, all just really seamlessly pulled together, even in a wine this young. So it's very similar to the way it smells. All the fruit is fresh. This is not a jammy, overripe wine at all. This wine is really what in the New World we call restrained. In some ways, we just call it European in style. Fresh black currants, fresh blackberries. There's some blueberry here, black plum for sure. The herbal nature is just really beautifully balancing the fruit with that roasted red pepper, mint, almost spearmint, and then a beautiful little touch of eucalyptus. There's an iron ore sort of finish to the palate, very similar to what a lot of people call a sanguine note, or if you've ever lived in a house where there's iron in the water, it's that sort of flavor profile. Moves into the oak signatures of the cocoa powder. Really, you have to go out and find a bottle of this wine because it's going to so impress you for what you're about to spend for it and what you get out of it. The Yalumba Sanctum Cabernet Sauvignon from Coonawarra 2017. Definitely on your must-try list in the next little while.